Hey everyone, how you doing today? As I mentioned in the daily financial news this morning, I had a special guest coming on today. We're going to talk Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto. This is going to be an individual like me who got into the crypto space in the last 4 or 5 months. My first purchase was November, hers was January. But as you will see in a moment, she has done a lot more homework than I have. I have relied on a friend who kind of advised me, and we're going to talk to her about all things. I'm going to ask questions as someone who's naive, and we're just going to see where this goes. So let's welcome Jackie to the show. How you doing, Jackie?
Hi, doing well. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, so Jackie, why don't you do me a favor, introduce yourself to the audience, kind of what do you do for a living, and then maybe just a little bit about, how you got your start in crypto, when it all started, when did you start digging in, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Um, all right. So I have an interesting career background. I worked in the technology field for about 13 years, doing mostly sales and account management, customer success, that sort of work.
Sure.
And then I did what most people who live in the Bay Area do not do. They switch careers into teaching.
Oh, there you go.
I Yeah, so it was a drastic move. I felt, I guess you'd call it a calling. I don't know. I felt really strongly about moving into that field. It was kind of one of those. I'd been thinking about it for so long and analyzing, is this the right move, and just needed to kind of, you know, take
Yeah.
the plunge and do it. So I got my teaching credential, finished in 2011. And that was kind of a time in the Bay Area when I feel like prices of homes in the area have always kind of steadily risen, but then it just shot up. So for the last, I don't know, 10 plus years or so, I've been I was like this with my income.
Right.
And everyone else was like this with their income and houses. If you owned a home, it was like that.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I did own a condo in Walnut Creek with my sister, which we actually just sold in October, which is partly how I was able to invest in some crypto. Um, now I actually left the teaching world a couple years ago, and I've been kind of some things have sort of fallen into my lap that were not going to ever be career what I want to do, for the rest of my life. And right now, given that we're in a pandemic, it's been an interesting time. I have been fortunate in that I've been able to help some families who are really struggling with, if they have two working parents and they have young kids who are in Zoom school or learning from home. I've been hired, I guess you could say, to help them. So anyway, so I do that, and yeah, that's about it. So
So
now I
yeah,
oh, go
so
ahead.
first off, I want to, I wish more teachers, kind of felt it like a calling, right? I think that's
Mhm.
those are the best teachers that just feel like they have there. And I can imagine, right? Somebody in the Bay Area like you who was in tech for a long time, account management, customer success, all that stuff. Um, that had to be an interesting transition, I'm guessing, right? Both
It
emotionally and
was
financially.
it was and not only did I work in the field of tech, I worked for a couple startup companies, and it was really, people really valued your opinion.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at my cubicle, and this was probably like 2008 or so, and a CTO of the startup I'm just calling it a startup tech company. They sort of run the gamut of what area of tech,
Yeah.
but he got into almost like a screaming match with a product manager because he was like, tell me what you're thinking, because I want to hear you fight for this.
Ah,
And because they were arguing about something having to do with the algorithm
yeah.
of our product. And anyway, just stuck in my head. And then when I actually did I not only did I go into teaching, I went and I worked at a Catholic school, an all
Oh,
boys
wow.
Catholic high school here in the Bay Area. And Yeah, just totally different. High school's been around since 1944.
Oh, wow.
So there's steep in tradition, and there's rules, there's definitely a lot more red tape than I had been used to. So that was shocking. That was shocking. And actually, I moved from I taught English, and I taught the yearbook class, which actually was a a class, not a club. And man, it was a lot of work. Oh gosh, both of them, all the papers and everything. I've actually never worked harder than I did, even at startup companies. You work hard at startup companies. You're there late. You're there, you're doing stuff on weekends.
Yeah.
I never worked harder than I did as well. There's
Wow.
just so much, and you're exerting a lot of energy too.
Yeah.
But I moved into a different department where I was running programs. I was still teaching the yearbook class, but after a year, I actually moved into their campus ministry department, which is sort of like outreach to their theology department.
Wow.
I wasn't teaching theology. I was running programs that helped kids learn how to, raising money for certain causes, poverty, and becoming aware of racism and what that looks like. Just a lot of social justice type issues.
Mhm.
Also, all the kids had to do service hours, Christian service or community service hours. And I was the one to kind of bring those opportunities to them. So I got to know a lot of different nonprofits in the area, and, just it helped me really understand the depth to which people who live in poverty really live in poverty. So, and I took kids on mission trips and things like that. So I've had a very wide array of experience, which I'm very, very grateful for. And now I'm actually at a place where I want to sort of bring those two together. And I would love to get I was looking actually to get into training and learning and development. And I won't say I've dismissed that at all. I haven't, but I'm really kind of, my focus now is educational technology, because
Very cool.
I do miss sort of having that progressiveness. I think it's a field that's super exciting right now. There's so much going on. I'm watching it with the kids that I'm working with. I'm seeing how many, online tools that they're using that I never worked with, never had when you and I were young.
Yeah.
It was all paper, pen, pencil. Yeah. That's it. So.
Yeah, I remember. Well, let's flip the script to your, interest in crypto. Your first purchase, if I remember your note, was in January. But when did it kind of cross your radar and like, you know what? I need to look at this first, right? So when did it kind of hit your radar? Was it when you sold the Walnut Creek condo, or
no, it actually wasn't. So I sold my condo in Walnut Creek. We closed, my sister and I owned it. We closed in October 19th. And I just had that money sitting in cash. And my goal, actually, because I mentioned earlier, the Bay Area has just exploded. And even during a pandemic, it just keeps going
crazy,
up. It's really crazy. And that's actually, I found your channel because for the past year and a half, really, I have been looking at homes in other places to move to, because I just know that I cannot afford a home here in the Bay Area, not as a single woman, having been a teacher on a teacher's or a former teacher's salary. Right now I'm living in a studio apartment. So yeah, I've been looking at other places. So I've been looking on realtor.com and Zillow, a lot in the last year. And then I somehow found your channel and I was like, oh, I like this guy. And he has interesting things to say. So anyway, so that's why I'm a subscriber.
Nice.
And
that's nice.
Yeah. And so when I sold my condo in October, surprisingly, we did well. We had a wonderful realtor. But the Walnut Creek condo, or maybe it's just condo market in general, is just, you're not going to get as much for your money. Especially a condo that we'd had this condo for 16 years. The building was built in 1971. It wasn't like a new, fresh condo, even though there are a lot of newer condos in Walnut Creek. So we did okay, but that money was sitting in cash, and I had been wanting to, like I said, I've been wanting to possibly move, and I was looking at Austin, Texas for a while. Now I'm looking at Raleigh, North Carolina, which is far, but I feel like it resonates with me, and the job market's great and all that. So yeah, I'm watching prices go up and up and up in Raleigh because so many people during this pandemic, they have decided to move. And I looked at something just the other day showing a house, what it was worth in, I think it was January of 2019 or January of 2020, excuse me. No, summer of 2019. And it was worth like, 400,000. and now it's worth 550,000. And people are overbidding.
Yeah.
So up to 50,000, because a lot of people are moving down from New York. They have a lot of money. A lot of people are moving up from Miami, and a lot of people are coming from California and everywhere else too.
Mhm.
So I was getting nervous. Like I'm not ready to move yet because I need a job there, et cetera. But what can I do? Because my money is just sitting in cash. And I had thought about putting it in gold. I had thought about, putting it in, I don't know, the stock market. But that I was a little bit nervous about that because, as we all know, the stock market just seems so, it's in a bubble.
Yeah,
right?
No question.
I think everyone's saying that. And then so to your question, what got me into crypto? Or what was the, thing that made me go, oh, this is what I want to do? It was, well, it was right around Christmas. I think right after Christmas, I was looking online. I think it might have been like January 1st or 2nd. And I was looking, and the Bitcoin price of Bitcoin had risen to 29,000. And so it was kind of splashed on the news. And I hadn't really taken an interest in Bitcoin at all. I don't know. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really have an interest in it, to be honest. It just, and I was listening to it. You and I think it's Greg had been saying even a couple months ago, like, to me, it just feels like air. Why are people investing in this? So I just was like 29,000, there's something to this. So I looked at a chart to see how high it had gone since, in the past year. And I couldn't believe the graph went like,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I need to pay a little closer attention to this. And then this is going to sound kind of funny. I love looking at like psychic predictions for the year,
Yeah.
for the coming year, what's going to happen. And there are like 10 different psychics who are all saying Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all different cryptocurrencies are going to explode this year. And they were all saying this. And I'm watching it. So I'm going, okay, maybe this is what I should do. So I know it sounds kind of funny that might have been the reason, but I'll be honest, that was kind of what made me go, okay, I should look into this.
Okay.
Because it was worrying me keeping it in cash, because I also looked at a chart of how much the Fed was printing. And it was crazy. Like it was like this, how much we printed over the last 20 years or so. And then all of a sudden it shoots up in the last, year or two. So, so I got onto Coinbase, which I don't know if that's what you're on.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one that it seems to be the beginner one. Although since then I've heard that Coinbase crashes a lot. It's not a great one to be on. And I did notice it crashed at one point in the last month or so when there was a lot of activity. And I was like, oh. So if I had wanted to trade, which I wasn't going to, it would have made me mad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got onto Coinbase and I bought Bitcoin first and some Ethereum because I knew those are kind of the two most well-known. And I also bought some Litecoin, which I'm not sure how familiar you are with the different coins out there, coins or tokens. And then it was kind of slowly, I just took a strong interest and started finding people on YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's some people who there's one guy named BitBoy Crypto. He just this week, he actually just crossed the 500,000 subscription mark. He has 500,000 subscribers. No, that was on Sunday. Yesterday afternoon, when I looked, he had 533,000 subscribers. His channel is blowing up. And I'm watching at the subscriber level of all these other channels I'm looking at. So I'm noticing there's this huge influx of people coming in to the crypto space.
For sure.
And not only that, I started noticing that Coinbase only has something like 42 coin or token offerings, which is not a ton. There are like 1,000 out there. And so in some of these videos and things that I've been watching and learning about, I've learned that there's so many other exchanges that have other crypto offerings that are usually when a crypto gets to Coinbase, it's sort of I don't want to say it's matured, but it's a lot more mature than some of the other smaller cryptos.
For
So
sure.
if you get into a cryptocurrency that is, you know, I don't know, 0.001, you're not going to find it on Coinbase. You have to go to other exchanges. So I decided to get signed up on Kraken, and I signed up for Binance.us because Binance.com, which is the most well-known exchange, a lot of people internationally use it. Apparently, I don't know exactly what happened, but they kicked off Americans.
Mm.
And so
Damn
if you had any,
Americans.
what's that?
I said, damn Americans.
I know, right? I didn't really research to see what happened. I just know that I had to go to Binance.us. They have their own one now. And there's some different coins on Binance.us versus Binance.com.
Okay.
I signed up for Binance.us, which took a full month to get verified, which again tells me they are slammed and so many people are getting into this space. And I think the herd is coming. And if there is a stock market crash, if something happens, which I also listen to traditional investors too, by the way, and economists and, just people in that financial space, they're all seeming to say it. They're saying there's going to be a crash. It's probably going to be in April. Who knows? But if it does happen, and I'm talking about a stock market crash, if it happens, I think there's going to be a rush of people to the crypto space. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure I'm all set up and ready to go, and that I have everything in order if that does happen. So that's kind of right now.
So it's January. You're going to make your first purchase. I'm going to just wildly guess you stuck your toe in the water, right? You took a certain percentage of cash. Mm-hmm. You transacted in Coinbase,
right?
Was that
and since I've also put it in Kraken and in Binance.
So you did it in stages, I'm guessing?
Only in stages, because I've had to wait to get verified. I had to wait 2.5 or 3 weeks to get verified on Kraken as well.
Right. But you didn't go all in, right? You just didn't move all your chips to the center of the table in January and say, oh, I bought as much as I could.
No. I mean, I think I've got other money in other places. So I'm, want to be careful.
Of course.
Also saying, this is risky, it is risky. And I don't know this market all that well. I'm just learning, although I am devouring a lot of information about it. And it goes in cycles. Sure. And it seems like all these channels and people I'm listening to are saying we are in what's called altcoin season, which basically means alternative coins to Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And so everything else. And I have gotten into some of these altcoins, and I am watching them double in price and triple in price.
Wow.
Yeah. So even those 2-3 weeks that I was waiting for Kraken, and that month I waited for Binance, I watched some of the coins that I wanted to get into that I had already done research on in early January. They'd already doubled. So it was a little frustrating. But anyway, but yes, I've increased. I didn't do the percentage this morning before getting on, but it's around 40 to 42%.
Yeah.
I've increased since January 3rd, and I'm, slowly kind of adding.
So let's go back to, Jackie pre-owning a single crypto. Was your first investment in a fraction of a Bitcoin, or did you do like Ethereum and Litecoin at the same time, or did you just start with Bitcoin, get more comfortable, and then go somewhere else?
Yeah, I started with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I did one Bitcoin.
Okay, nice.
I did about the equivalent cash, dollar price in Ethereum at the time.
So 10 or 12 coins, something like that.
Yeah. And then I've learned a lot actually about the various coins and which ones I think are going to be around in another 5 to 10 years, and which ones would be, a lot more risky. Now, anything can happen, these are all new, they call them projects. They don't call them companies. I mean, I guess they're companies, but they're still projects they're working on. So these projects are still, a lot of them are still very new. Sure. Anything can happen. There could be infighting at the company level, and that kind of destroys the direction of the product. Anything could really happen. Mm-hmm. So I am checking it a lot, and I'm reading a lot on the ones that I've put money into. But I think this is also why you wanted to talk to me today, because I have become a true believer
Yeah.
in blockchain technology. It's not just Bitcoin, because actually Bitcoin to me now, after all the learning I've done in the last month and a half, it's a little bit boring, to be honest. It is. And I don't know if you watched any of the videos I sent, but if you get a chance to.
I will after. I wanted to have this conversation first, so
sure.
I'm not.
And there's one, there's one more I wanted to send to you. But the two I really wanted to point out are TED Talks. One was by Charles Hoskinson. And I sent you that one.
Yep.
I think it's like a 13-minute TED Talk. It's not terribly long. But watching that was what made me go, wow, this is really going to change the world. If he can implement this. Now, Charles Hoskinson, if you don't know, do you know who he is?
No.
I think he's going to be like the next Steve Jobs, Bill Gates.
Wow.
And people in the crypto space know who he is. He actually has his own channel as well. Okay. He is he's one of the founders of Ethereum. And by the way, for people who don't know, I think most people kind of know what Bitcoin is, right? So let me back up a second here. Bitcoin, I think it started out as a different means of currency, but it's kind of transitioned to more of just a store of value.
Yeah, that's why I went into Bitcoin now versus 2017. That same friend that kind of was vibrating in 17 freaked me out.
Yes.
And then what I saw in late 19 was, okay, it's evolving, right? It has become a store of value for larger players. They're being put in cold storage, right? They're just sucking available coins off the market. I'm like, now I'm interested.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me.
Right. Well, once the institutions get in, which they all look like they're starting to, and there was, I'm sure you heard this, that there was I guess it was an online conference with like 9,000 CEOs that Mike put on.
Yeah, I watched some of those videos. Pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. February 3rd and 4th. And I remember hearing about that, and then that approaching, going, I better get into what I need to get into right now and like get myself situated, because as soon as they get in, things are going to go up. And I think all the altcoins, the other coins and tokens, are going to go up along with Bitcoin.
Sure.
So I think Bitcoin is sort of what people call the gateway drug.
Yeah.
For me, they get in, they start looking at everything else.
Yeah. For me, Bitcoin is, if you want to, the reason I asked about sticking your toe in the water, I think that's where most people will start. It's the often quoted one. It's the one that's in the headlines. Right. It's probably it is the most mature. It has the longest history, right? It is the OG. It's got the fixed supply, all these things going for it. Mm-hmm. And I think all those things make it the least risky, but to your earlier point, probably the least exciting, right? It doesn't have the variability, the triple, the quadruples, the 10 baggers left in it, right? It's already had that run.
Right.
So I think that makes sense. Why do you like Ethereum, right? I think a lot of people look at Ethereum and go, second largest crypto. That's good, right? So it's got history, it's got some weight, right? It's got a market cap that's impressive, right? It would be hard to wipe out Ethereum overnight, where some of these smaller, $1 million players, one bad decision, the project's gone, right? Right. Ethereum's not there, and Ethereum 2 is coming, and all of those things. So why do you like Ethereum more than Bitcoin? So I think I kind of read that in some of our communication.
Yeah. And this is what I was going to get to when I was talking earlier about Charles Hoskinson.
Okay.
So, let me back up just a second. So Charles Hoskinson was working on Ethereum with Vitalik Buterin. Oh, I forget how to say the guy who's the founder of Ethereum, who wrote the white paper. He's a Russian-Canadian guy. Anyway, he was actually the founder, but then he brought in other brilliant people, including Charles Hoskinson, including Gavin Wood, who now runs Polkadot. Charles Hoskinson runs Cardano. So I guess there was some infighting and arguments that happened about Ethereum. They had different visions for it, which is why Charles went his own way. started his own company called IOHK, which stands for Input Output Hong Kong. He started it in Hong Kong when he was living there. And he started this project Cardano, which has a different focus than Ethereum, slightly different focus, but it's the same idea in that it is a smart contract blockchain. Same with Gavin Wood. He started Polkadot, which is I haven't done enough research about Polkadot. I just know people really like it, and I think it's going to do well. And they have they have a whole ecosystem of other I don't know, I guess tokens. I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, so to your question, what do I like about Ethereum? I watched the Charles Hoskinson TED Talk first, which made me go, oh, now I kind of get it. And I also found another TED Talk, which I'll send to you. Dan something or other, he said it, he really explains blockchain technology very well. And this is why I like blockchain technology, and also why I think Bitcoin is a little bit boring. Basically, Ethereum is a smart contract technology. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you are taking out the middleman, right? You're taking out, you can have a, you can do it. You can exchange goods or services with somebody who lives in Africa if you want to. You don't even have to know them. You just have to basically trust the blockchain, and they have to trust the blockchain, and things have to be trusted and secure. In the meantime, you don't have a bank or a middleman that you have to go through. I find that I think there's a lot of people around these days that they don't always trust governments, they don't always trust banks and people like that. And so I see this as the direction that we are headed. Mm-hmm. I also, again, sorry, I keep talking about Charles Hoskinson, but in his TED Talk, he mentions, that he gives a really interesting description of two guys, one named Jeremy, who is an American, has a college degree, he's got these insurance policies, he's an entrepreneur, and the government takes certain percentage, but he pays the taxes, and he only pays a certain percentage, but it's not huge. I mean, we Americans might think it's huge, but it's not huge compared to some people who live in these other countries who don't exactly have like a equivalent to a social security number. They, if they try to start a company, their government might take 80 to 85% of what they make. So it's hard. They're suppressed, and they don't have the opportunity to succeed. And so blockchain technology, to me, is going to create equity around the world if it can take off. And Cardano, which is what Charles Hoskinson has created, he has a contract now with the government of Ethiopia. His goal is in the next few years to get 100 million people, 100 million Africans onto the Cardano blockchain. And that way they will be able to exchange goods and services amongst each other without having to have governments or other people take this massive cut. Now, the fact that he has worked with the actual government is interesting, because to me that says it's not decentralized, but I think the blockchain is decentralized itself. I'm not sure the discussions that happened, between him and the government of Ethiopia. And I know he's targeting a lot of places in Africa, because that's where they're sort of the continent, I guess, that needs help the most. So there's very much this altruistic feeling about blockchain technology, where I think it will really help a lot of people. I think in the future, we're going to see a lot more entrepreneurs, because you can be your own boss, and you don't have to, you can sell your own goods and services through the blockchain without having to, just without having to go through a third party. Mm-hmm. So I just think that's going to explode. I think that but what I will also say is I think it's going to, unfortunately, I think banks are going to start to see problems.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things in that I agree with. I think there's certainly an increasing distrust of government and banks that we are currently living in. And I think that's a trend that, I don't know if what you want to say, get worse or grows or whatever, right? I think it's a trend that continues. Yeah. And, a year ago, it was like, okay, when the rich in Venezuela give up on their currency, they go to crypto because it's the easiest way to get out and then go take it somewhere else. You're not lugging gold bricks around, right? Which was the old way of doing it, or
Right.
diamonds or whatever it is.
Right.
But now I really think, one of the things that I think in 2021, especially with, what I reported on the financial news this morning, Janet Yellen wants to spend and spend and spend, right? I mean, Jesus Christ, when's enough enough?
That's
God
actually
damn.
another reason I think people are moving to blockchain. I just see
Yeah, I think there's more and more people that are like, you know what? I've earned a significant wealth in the US. I already have enough assets in dollars,
Mhm.
and these dollars are going to be worth less and probably less at a faster rate in the future. I need
Mhm.
to do something. And again,
Mhm.
what I did, when was that? 10, 20 years ago, is I bought silver, right? I actually had physical things. I don't believe in ETFs or paper or all that. I want the physical thing. It's now to
Right.
a point where I frankly would have storage risk, and where would I put it all? So for me, that was why I went, okay, I'm going to try the digital gold, right? Which I consider, and again, I know 1% of what you know about crypto. I'm like, okay, to me,
Mhm.
Bitcoin is gold, right? It's it's
Mhm.
it's the highest one. And then
Mhm.
over time, I'm like, okay, Ethereum to me again is silver, and then
Mhm.
Litecoin, because those are the three that I have, is copper. And again, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but that's when I looked at all
No,
of them.
no, actually, you're close. Actually, that's what I thought when I first got in. It's not exactly Bitcoin. You got that right. It's the equivalent of digital gold,
Mhm.
or equivalent of gold, right? But
Right.
it's in the digital form. Litecoin is considered the equivalent of silver,
Ah,
and has a silver logo. And I do have some Litecoin, and Litecoin was created because Bitcoin was getting more expensive. I think a guy named Ed Lee.
is Litecoin like a fractional percentage of Bitcoin, like 1 to 40, or is it some kind of math like that, or what is it?
Right. Oh, I don't know actually. Right
Okay.
now, Litecoin is
It's like $212 or something.
225 bucks or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. It might drop down to 198 in an hour. So, I, it is a volatile market. I will say that.
Yeah.
And
I just bought my first 3 coins of Litecoin like 3 days ago or something.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I think you're pretty safe in that. Well, another thing I will say that going back to what we were talking about earlier, and why I think this is going to explode is because not only are we hearing about big institutions like Goldman Sachs getting in, and Tesla, and
Well, BlackRock yesterday, the biggest
yes,
money
yes,
manager
BlackRock,
ever,
right?
right? We're
And
dipping our toe in. Well, your 1% toe is going to be like 800 billion.
it will be, yeah, it will be. But I'm seeing all these other companies like PayPal.
Yeah.
You can exchange.
Yeah. I
You
have the
know,
PayPal app. Yeah. That's actually where I have the.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they are including not just Bitcoin, they're including Litecoin now.
Yep. That's
They're
where I have it. Yeah.
also Ethereum, which is interesting, and then I think Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah. Those are the four. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bitcoin Cash I think it's a spin-off of Bitcoin. I think it's like $700 per
Okay. Yeah.
right now, but it's less than 50,000.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
I think that Bitcoin Cash might be what I've read and what I've learned about Bitcoin Cash is that it is easier and faster to go through a blockchain network. Bitcoin to me is interesting, and this is again going back to why I think it's changing. And I know that like PayPal and other places think Overstock. I don't know if Overstock still has it on. If you could still buy and purchase goods with Bitcoin, but they did for a while. They might still, haven't looked. But I don't think Bitcoin, from my research, Bitcoin is not going to be the one that lasts in the end. It's changed and become a store of value, but it's not the fastest.
Yeah. I don't see Bitcoin being right. There was talk in the very beginning about it being a currency and a transaction mechanism. I think its architecture and the way it's kind of put out there, it's going to be a store of value, and that's all it's going to be. And I think
Yeah,
very soon it will be a store of value for the biggest players out there, right?
right,
A coin could very easily be 6 figures sometime in
right.
the future. I don't want to put a date on it. At that point, mere mortals like you and I won't be able to buy a coin, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
we'll go somewhere else. But yeah, I think the folks that are looking at crypto to transact, whether it's the gentleman in Africa or, between the US and Europe or whatever, if you're going to
Mhm.
be a transaction platform, it's it's not going to be Bitcoin, right? It is too slow, and it's
Mhm.
faster than banks, though, right? I mean, one of the reasons we saw GameStop run up is because they had the 2-day lag for settlements, right? So
Right.
it's faster than that, but it's not as fast as you need, right? You're not going to go to Starbucks and use Bitcoin to buy your coffee, because by the time it validated, it'd be cold. But
Right.
some of the other crypto, yeah, I mean, you could see that really, really happening. I want to go
You
back
would
to what, go
Oh,
ahead.
sure. Oh, can I just say this real quick? What's interesting about the GameStop situation is while that was happening, there was simultaneously there is a coin called Dogecoin. Have you heard of this?
Yes, I have.
The dog coin.
Yeah.
The same type of thing was happening. Dogecoin originally was built as a joke. It
Yeah.
was somehow out of light. I think it was like the mining from Litecoin or something like that. And now I think and it doesn't have a cap. So people were, putting their money in that and watching it go up and then shorting it. The difference, though, is that the government did not get involved, and a bank did not get involved, right? And people just had their freedom to,
Yeah.
if they're gonna buy at the high, great. If it drops down, that's their fault. Now, I am certainly not an anti-government person. I hope it doesn't come across that way, because I'm,
Yeah.
I'm not that way. But it's just interesting to see the two things that were happening simultaneously and how they differed.
Yeah. One of the other things I want to go back to about, coins on Coinbase, or back to, again, PayPal having 4 when there's probably hundreds, if not thousands out there. If you're
Right.
somebody that's new to the crypto space, I would look at the validation of being on a platform like PayPal or Coinbase as these are the safest. Now, they're not, you got to remember, like, it's still swimming with sharks. You can still go to zero, but it's not, it's not like the wild, wild west where something can go away tomorrow, right? There's some validation, some kind of infrastructure. So I think most mom and pop investors who don't have the hours to consume data are probably best looking at, and it doesn't have to be Coinbase, I don't care where it is, but a platform that kind of controls the available offerings. I think that's good, right? Having a platform that has 1,000 of them organized by alphabet, where you just randomly pick, that's like going to the casino and playing games.
I don't know that any of them do have that many. I mean, some have more than others, but yeah.
So I look at that as a safety mechanism.
All of them have Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yes.
Hands down. They all have those two. And Bitcoin, yes, it's been going up and up. I think people are catching on to Ethereum now. And Ethereum is a smart contract blockchain, which I think that Ethereum is going to explode this year. It's probably going to cross the 2,000 mark this weekend.
That's funny. Actually, where's my phone? Yeah, it probably may have already.
It may have. I don't know. I checked this morning. It was still in the 1,900, but it'll probably cross the 2,000, this weekend. That's my guess. And I just think it's going to go up and up and up. And the reason why and there's issues with Ethereum. People call it gas fees, which is, I guess, like
it's like toll roads or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's how much you have to pay to use. They're very high, apparently, even to do a small transaction. And that's become a problem, I think, for Ethereum. But that being said, all these other crypto projects are built upon Ethereum.
Yeah.
So I don't think Ethereum's going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, I think it's going to go straight up this year. I think that's going to be the one to watch. Now, after another 6 months to a year, it might start coming back down, because I think people are going to be switching to Cardano, and they're going to be switching to Polkadot. And Cardano actually has some kind of code, or I'm not super techie minded, but it has something that it will allow these projects that are already built upon Ethereum to kind of easily switch over.
Very cool. Well, tell you what, we're up to about 40 minutes here. If you were sitting across you from December, where would you point people to start doing their initial research, right? Because you consume hours of material. Where would you, is it the TED Talk, or where would you send them to just?
Sure. Yeah. And I want to look on, I wish I could find the name of the TED Talk. Do you mind if I just look really quickly in my email? Because I think it's an important one. I've been actually saving some of these.
Yeah, you tell you what, if you actually get me the link or tell me which one specifically, I will put it in the first line of our description.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Well, definitely the Charles Hoskinson TED Talk. That one is, you know, that one. The other one, I'll put both of them.
Yeah,
Give both of them to you. So I'd say if you want to understand blockchain technologies, actually third one too, which I had sent to you. Those 3 videos I think are excellent.
okay.
And from there, if you want to start going to other YouTube people who have been in the crypto space for a long time and who kind of seem to know their stuff. There's BitBoy Crypto, which he's a high energy guy. He's been in the space, I think, since 2012. He's 533,000 subscribers as of yesterday. I think he's one of the ones that's been in the space the longest.
Wow.
He comes out with like 2 videos a day, at least. He just did one yesterday that's kind of on the basics of Bitcoin. So that might be good. Another one that's very educational is called Coin Bureau. Again, a YouTube channel. It's a British guy who has these 20-minute videos that are really informative, and he kind of gets a little analytical and dissects things. So it's very educational to me. And what's another good one I think is called Digital Assets. And then I'd say a fourth one is a guy, I think he's around here in the Bay Area, younger guy who has also been in the space a long time. He seems to know his stuff. He calls his channel Journey Crypto. It's JRNY Crypto. I'd say those 4 are kind of the YouTube channels I look at. And then I would say if you're going to get on any exchange, Coinbase to me was the fastest. I mean, I had no problem getting on that. They might be backed up right now though. So even if you're not ready to buy anything, I would say at least get on the exchange, because there's a whole verification process you have to go through. And like I said earlier, it's very backed up. I'd get on Coinbase. They have high fees though. And again, they crash a lot. And then the second one I'd say is Binance.com, which is very backed up. But sorry, Binance.us, if you're American, Binance.us. And then I'm also on Kraken. There's a lot of other ones, Qcoin, Gemini. I don't know. I have actually a bunch of tabs open with all the other ones.
Yeah. Let's just start with Coinbase and just get your feet wet first. Let's do that. So,
right.
Jackie, this has been a lot of fun. Maybe we can check in every 90 days and see what's going on.
Yeah, sure. I'd love that.
That'd be great. This is a lot of fun.
Me, Mike.
No, thank you. This is fun.
And go fellow Bronco.
Yeah, go Broncos.
Yeah, we both went to the same college, so awesome.